Well, joining me now from Sana'a is Yemen Country Director at the Norwegian Refugee Council, Syma Jamil. Syma, thank you so much for joining us. Apart from these recent developments in Neom, the humanitarian crisis in Yemen is frankly staggering. Why do you think it goes under the radar so much as opposed to other places like Syria, for example?
Thank you for inviting me today. Yes, you've made a very good point. Yemen is forgotten by the world at the moment, primarily perhaps because it has been such a long-standing crisis since 2011. But more recently, the figures are absolutely staggering, like you mentioned. Now, 8 in every 10 individuals actually need some form of humanitarian space. It may also be that Yemenis are not turning up to Western shores, so the world are keeping their eyes shut and not supporting Yemen as much as they could.
And Syma, we've seen these latest round of peace talks coming to an end in Kuwait. There's been plenty of walkouts happen during that period. It's difficult to get the two sides together at the same table, let alone agree to a ceasefire, to say nothing of the prisoner swap deal that was on the cards and then not. What are the chances of peace actually happening in Yemen?
Well, we're hopeful. As you know, Norwegian Refugee Council is a humanitarian organisation, so our focus at this moment is to continue to support people that need assistance the most. I think the key thing to note is now today marks the 500 days of conflict. So it's absolutely imperative that we do call on world leaders to give enough political will so that a peace process continues. Our concern lies that there could be increased insecurity following the recent events of the weekend of the peace talks now being suspended for 1 month period. We do not want further insecurity to take place because the people that are paying the price are the ordinary Yemenis. It really is a human tragedy in the making, and we really want to emphasise that a political process needs to be inclusive. It needs to involve youth, it needs to involve women, it needs to involve a range of political parties, and humanitarian assistance can be given, but without a peace process which is inclusive, the humanitarian assistance won't be as effective as required.
Syma, there have been many civilian deaths due to the Saudi-led coalition, not necessarily deliberate, but it's worth noting that up until recently the United States was selling cluster bombs to Saudi Arabia. How much of the fact that Yemen isn't getting the kind of attention it needs has to do with the fact that Saudi Arabia is aligned with the US?
Well, we can't really talk about the political situation per se. We're a humanitarian organisation, but what we can see is a disastrous effect it's having on civilians. Yesterday I was in Amman, and I can see that civilians have lost their homes. At the moment we've got over 2 million people displaced, and that's an absolute tragedy. It's unavoidable. It can be avoided. However, the assistance is just not getting there. Like you mentioned, civilians have been targeted. At the moment, there's 6,500 people that have been killed, which could have been avoidable. Over 21 million people need some form of humanitarian assistance. The figures are just staggering. So we do hope that the humanitarian assistance efforts can get through. But currently, the biggest challenge that we're having at the moment is the Humanitarian Appeal Fund that has been set up, which is requesting $1.8 billion. Only a quarter of it has been funded. It's woefully low. We're already in August, and it's only 5 months away from December, and at the moment only a quarter has been funded.
Syma, yourself and your colleagues are doing amazing work, and we sincerely hope you get all of the help you need. Syma Jamil from the Norwegian Refugee Council, thank you.